You guys probably heard about this coronavirus thing going on. It has had a pretty dramatic impact on the logistics side of things. Outside of Wuhan, most of the plants are up to 50% or more, I would say, is what we're seeing. We have 2 plants in China, neither are in Wuhan. I think we're up to about 70% right now as far as labor that's back and being able to make product. The Chinese New Year had filled the supply chain pipeline prior to Corona because they were going to Golden Week. It's typical that they'll fill the pipeline, they'll send additional containers of product when they're exporting, things like that, because they leave for the week or 10 days. So if you were a customer importing from China, you typically have 6 to 8 weeks for your ocean time from there to here. You had about that much in the pipeline. Well, that supply has arrived and you've pretty much gone through it at this point. So now the holes in the supply chain are starting to become evident since there were very few vessels that left in that 3 to 4 week shutdown period that they had outside of Wuhan. What we also saw is a lot of vessels skipping port. They wouldn't even go into the port at China, so they weren't picking up goods. So the goods were starting to stack up there.
We are fortunate. We're deep in our partnerships in China, so we have a lot of boots on ground there. And even though our buyers and our team members were all working from home, they weren't in the office. We were getting daily interaction, with them and our suppliers, and people were just operating in creative ways that you can't even imagine, to give us feedback on their status. So it's been, all consuming. I'm sure those of you that are ingrained in that supply chain, you understand that. So it's been very consuming for us. We spent a lot of time doing scenario planning around Korea and some of the surrounding countries before the virus even spiked there. So we did a lot of scenario planning, and then you pull triggers and make decisions the best you can, looking for alternatives. And so creative engineering and innovative solutions have been the name of the game of alternative forms of supply. Can you build without all the things that you have to evaluate?
Obviously a huge impact on China proper, so China vehicle sales and production. So you got both the demand and the supply side on that end. And then there's the sort of that secondary effect where those components that are produced in China spreading out to other markets, and where we might see some pinch points, if you will, in terms of supply of those components. So far so good. North America and even Europe to an extent have been relatively unscathed, but boy, there still is a lot of uncertainty. And based on the amount of components that were in transit, we're starting to work through that. So right now, the next few weeks are going to be really critical. Suppliers and automakers are working together, really lockstep, to just really understand their supply chain and to find those pinch points. But it's still going to be an interesting time for at least the better part of the next month or two, for sure. Cars, people are kind of exiting the car segment, passenger cars, sedans, coupes, and moving into light trucks and crossovers, and that's really been the name of the game. There still are going to be cars out there, no question about that. Sedans and coupes aren't going away entirely, but boy, we've got automakers that are definitely pushing their product plans towards light truck, and because that's where consumer demand is. They like the ride height, they like the more flexibility and cargo moving capability of these light trucks and crossovers. So that's really where demand's going.